This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with the Lockpicker. Today's guest is Snake. Say hi.
Hello.
So, where are you from exactly?
I'm currently living in Northeast Pennsylvania, but I grew up in New York City. So I did live there until I was in my early 20s, and then I started moving around a little bit.
Okay, you indicated that you grew up in Brooklyn.
Yes, Brooklyn, New York, a very cool place. I do miss it sometimes, but I definitely wanted to have a lot of my own space, and that's why my family and I now live up here in the mountains where we have
Oh, cool.
plenty of plenty of space for us, the kids to run around, and we built a playhouse out in the yard, all
That's
the good
cool.
stuff.
Very cool. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
I got into locksport in 2020, and the reason for that is I was actually in need of a hobby because I was spending a lot of time on Facebook, and it turned out to be kind of a negative place around that time. I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people were kind of fed up with like
The
COVID
the
and
lockdowns, everything else, yeah.
exactly. So people just taking out their frustration on each other. And I was like, you know what? I'm spending too much time scrolling through Facebook all the time. Let me just stop. And, um, I filled that void with YouTube and actually found that it was very easy to find educational content. So I started watching um, videos not related to lock sport. I started off just like watching interesting things. Like there's a panel called Smarter Every Day. I found them and I was like, oh, this is very interesting. There's a couple others like Stuff Made Here.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I was just going down that road, and then one day, Lock Picking Lawyer came up on my feed, and I was like, wow, this looks actually very easy. Like this is something I can do, and that's when I made the decision to give it a shot.
Okay. So, eventually you needed tools, right?
Yep, needed tools, and I wanted to start off very simple and inexpensive. Even though it looked easy, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. I mean, I anticipated liking it, but you never know. So I didn't want to start off with a big fancy set or anything. And I ended up going to Southern Specialties because that's where I heard Lockpicking Lawyer mention the tension tools that he used, the Longhorn
Yep.
turning tool set.
Great set.
Yeah, a fantastic set. So I ordered that. I ordered a top of the keyway tensioner set, came with three different thicknesses, and then just a very simple single pick that had a short hook on one end and a snake rake on the other end.
Oh, okay.
And with that, I picked up a master lock from Target, went home and raked it right open, and I was like, "Oh, this is great. Let me try single pin picking." And I was able to do that as well. And I just went down the rabbit hole. I was like, "All right, well, I need more locks. Let me go to Home Depot, see what they have." So I bought, some cheap Home Depot locks and ended up ordering some lotto locks, which led me to realize that I then needed more picks because my 25 thou pick just
Yeah.
wouldn't get up in the warding.
Yep.
So I went back to YouTube and I was like, let's see, what is lock picking lawyer picking these lotto locks with? And I don't know which video it was, but I found one where he said he's using the 18 thou Peterson, and it was a number 7 hook.
Okay.
So I went to Peterson website, ordered number 7 hook, and it was like a number 1 or number 2 hook. And those two hooks right there, I just fell in love with, and I used them for many months. I just loved the handles.
Yeah, I'm kind of
The
partial to
thickness
the
was perfect for, many different types of locks.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm partial to the H1. So, I always start with the H1 and probe the lock to see what I want to do with it or
Yeah,
move to another tool kind of thing. So, definitely good
yeah.
choice there. So, You've
hmm
you've moved on from those though and broadened your tool set from there, correct?
That is correct. At first, I actually started. I think it was with sparrows actually, and the monkey paw. I I went to sparrows because I needed other tools, like
Mm-hmm.
I needed plug followers, and I bought like the little mini pinning mats.
Yep.
And I saw the monkey paw there, and so that was the only pick I bought from them, and I just loved it. I was like, the profile is very cool, similar to like Hook One, but it has, of course, that little indent at the end. Um, so I found that very nice. But then I also went on and ordered a bunch of bare bones, and there was a very slight mistake in the order where one of the three bones deep hooks didn't have laser engraving on it.
Mm.
And part of my feedback to him, I had mentioned it, and I was like, but don't worry, like it's no big deal. Like I still love the picks and everything else is great. And he wouldn't accept that. He was like, I'm sending you replacements. And so he sent me way more picks than, you know, I expected. So I had extra picks, extra tensioners, and so I had a lot of opportunity to try them out and then also give away a bunch of the extras.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the more helpful ones out there. Great customer service. Can't say enough good things about him. I've
hmm
purchased products from him as well, and he's been awesome always. Um,
Yeah.
so can you talk a little bit about from the point where you started picking and then you eventually, I would imagine, did what most people do, they reach out to find out what the community is about. So can you tell a little bit about your journey with the community?
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was a community. And then I think it was Joe Picks I first stumbled upon, where I started watching his content and realizing that there is a community. I'm seeing these people commenting on his videos. And then started looking at their channels, and I just saw like a lot of positive interaction. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then, it led to the hearing about Reddit. And then I hopped onto Reddit, and that's where, of course, I found the whole belt system and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and
Yep.
even more helpful people there. It was just very fun interactions there. Everyone's just so nice. I couldn't believe it, really.
Okay. So eventually you wound up on Discord, though. How did that happen?
That was another natural progression. In talking with pickers, I believe it was Lance Spikey. We were like chatting through email, and it was just so much easier if we chatted on Discord. And so I believe he mentioned that. And so I hopped on Discord and then realized there's the LPU Discord server. So I joined that as well. And mostly just interacting, like direct messages to other pickers. I don't spend too much time in the LPU chat, but since then I've joined other chats, or other Discord servers, for example, yours of course, and Picking Time. A lot of cool people chatting in
Yeah,
those channels.
definitely.
hmm
Okay. So you pursued the belt system. What belt are you right now?
I am currently blue, and when I found the belt system, at that point I was already a few months into my progress. And so I was like, I can debut at just go straight to green. And so that's what I did. I went straight to green. Um, and that required, of course, the challenge block that Joe Pix was kind enough to accept from me. So I sent him over my very first challenge block, learned a couple lessons there, of course, which is nice. And yeah,
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the challenge lock you made for blue.
yes, the challenge block for blue was I, I I spent a decent amount of time on it. Looking back, it's like very amateur compared to what I then saw other challenge lock makers, uh, create. So it's very simple. Hit all of the check marks to
Yeah.
satisfy.
Yep.
Um, but I didn't anticipate that he would pick it counterclockwise. So like he started picking it clockwise, and he didn't get anywhere with it after like a minute or so. And he was like, "Oh, let me try counterclockwise," and then bam, he was right in. And then I was like, "Oh, that's a lesson learned right there." Because when I practiced it, I only practiced it clockwise. So
Yeah.
um, now people are making, traps no matter which way that you go. So it's very fun to see what challenge makers come up with these days.
Definitely. So
And then after,
go ahead.
I, and then right after that, shortly after that I went to the blue belt, and I've been there ever since. It's been about a year or so, but I've kind of like stopped progress there. I picked one of the belts required for purple, which is the Quickset Gen 3 I picked.
Hmm.
That was a fun one, but I'm still working on and by working on I mean it's sitting there looking at me on the shelf. But the Multi-Lock Junior is my next victim for purple when I get time for it. So part of the problem is, um, I'm very busy. I have,
Yeah.
of course, family and multiple jobs, and and now it's when I do get time, I end up like doing something channel related, like getting
Yeah.
a video out there and,
Yep.
and doing something for that instead of focusing on the belt progression. But I do plan on getting back to it sometime.
Same thing
Hopefully
happened to
this.
me. Yep. I can relate.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Got,
but
just wanted to work on all the rabbit holes I fell into with Locksport, and one of them was the channel. So
yeah,
speaking of that, what do you do for a living?
I work in IT. I do work for one of the tech giants, so it's a very fun job. A lot of you know bleeding edge technology exposure there, so it's a very fun place to be.
Very cool.
Um, yep.
I would imagine you touch upon aspects of security. And
Oh yeah.
does anybody that you work with know that you do Locksport on the side?
No one at my current job, but people at my former job, I did fill them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
hmm
what is your favorite thing about Locksport?
I want to say it is the challenge of solving a puzzle. I've always been interested in puzzles, so when I saw that lockpicking is exactly like that, I just kind of became obsessed. And I like figuring things out. In my line of work, troubleshooting is one of the things you have to be strong at. And so I look at picking a lock like troubleshooting any issue. You have to collect data about what's in front of you, and track progress, and
It's almost
try
like
different
it's
things.
almost
And
like troubleshooting.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly.
Okay, that didn't work. Let's try this. Okay. So, all right. So, you've got quite a few interesting hobbies. I wanted to talk about the EDC thing for a minute. Do you mind talking about that?
Mhm. Yeah, sure. We could actually thank Landspy Key for me going down that rabbit hole. He pointed me to he pointed me to a website called countycom.com. They're a government products group, and they sell awesome gear to local government and friendly governments around the world. And then any overstock that they have, they sell to the public. So I found that website through him, and I was like, wow, this is like very cool. There's like just so many little trinkets that would be handy. And some of the stuff I admit, uh, I just got carried away with.
A few novelty
But other,
items.
yeah, some novelty items. But yeah, so I have like a fleet of many different types of flashlights, different types of pens, like little storage containers, titanium tools, fire starters,
What
just a whole bunch of little gadgets and
what
stuff.
what kinds of tools?
So when I figured out that there's awesome titanium products out there, I was like, oh, well, I obviously need the titanium mini wrench. It's like a little 3-inch wrench.
Hmm.
So I have that. Screwdrivers. I have a couple titanium screwdrivers. Um, so yeah, little stuff like that. Can openers and such.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, do you find use for these items on a regular basis, or just have them to be ready for anything?
Some of them are the kind of ready for anything type thing, but a lot of them are, I do end up finding useful on day to day.
Hmm.
For example, like I never leave the house without a flashlight. So I find myself, using my different flashlights a lot. Um, the pens, of course, wherever you are, there's always, for some reason, a need to write something down. So
I
that kind of stuff.
I keep flashlights at different parts of the house everywhere. So, and
Yep,
we have them in the cars too. So,
yep,
almost always
exactly.
have one readily available. So, okay, so you mentioned also to me about having a interest in firearms. What's that all about?
That we can thank my brother for. He served in the United States Marine Corps for 10 years.
Hmm.
And he came back and, he was just telling me all these awesome stories and telling me about all the weapons and stuff. And I ended up, saying, oh, let's give it a shot. And I just got hooked immediately. Uh, I just, I'm not like, of course, a sharpshooter by any means or anything like that, but I have pretty good aim, I found. And I don't know, I just took a liking to it and kind of went down that rabbit hole. Started with handgun and a shotgun, and then it just spiraled from there. How to get the rifles, revolvers, like it just doesn't end.
Yeah,
So
I don't think people realize just how technical firearms are. I mean, there's
yeah,
a lot to know and understand. So, and
yep,
different firearms operate differently. So different ways to approach cleaning them and caring for them and maintenance and repairing them, all that. So definitely. So okay, so you mentioned titanium, so I'm going to dive into the whole anodizing titanium thing. Can you talk to that a little bit? How you got into that?
yeah. That is something that I came across on YouTube one day. Just popped up in my feed. Someone was flame anodizing titanium, and I was looking at it, and that was just something else that I thought was cool and that I could easily do. So I ran to Harbor Freight, grabbed a one of those little handheld torches and some propane, went back home, set some little contraption up in the yard, and flame anodized one of my titanium pens, and it came
Cool.
out, I thought, pretty fantastic.
Cool.
Yep. And
So,
then that just led down that rabbit hole, and it turned into electro anodizing after that.
ah, okay. Now, if I recall, you mentioned something about even you have a power supply specifically for that.
Yes, at first I was using a string of 9-volt batteries,
Hmm.
and of course, you could only then get intervals of 9 volts, and some of the awesome colors are in between. So, for example, if I need 50 volts, so I was like, I need to get a power supply where I can fine tune the voltage that I'm outputting. So I got one that I think goes up to 120 or so, which
Hmm.
is covers the full spectrum, which is great.
That's cool. All right. Now into one of my favorite topics, chess.
Oh, yes. Chess is definitely one of my obsessions. I play several games a day for the past maybe like 6 years or so. I used to play when I was a kid, like with my brother, but it was like, you know, this silly kids playing. I played a little bit in high school because there was a chess team, and I during this chess team, made it to the finals, lost to the math professor, which hurt, but took a took a break and then revisited in my adult life and realized that I am pretty obsessed with it.
I wish I had somebody that wanted to play here, but I'm more of a have to have a physical board in front of me. The whole online part just doesn't really work the same way for me. So, but I have collected several chess sets over the last 35 years. So,
Mm,
but
that's awesome.
okay,
I
so
do have
go ahead.
I do have a couple of chess pieces that are made of titanium and they unscrew
Of
so that they can
course you
hide
do.
like a yeah. And then of course I electro anodized it so it's like a beautiful blue. I'll have to show you a picture on Discord sometime.
All right, that sounds cool. I'd love to see that. All right, so last question before we wrap up. With your belt progression, you're at blue. What are your
Hmm.
plans next? You indicated you're really busy and you kind of stayed with blue for a while. What do you want to do going forward?
So I definitely want to get that purple belt, but um, I'm not going to prioritize it. I don't think above other stuff. Like for example, I'm trying to come up with an idea for locksport that involves my background with IT. So like some type of website or application where I can combine my love for both. So if I come up with that idea, I likely pursue that and kind of like leave the belt pursuit in the dust. But um, we'll see how it goes with that.
I might have a few ideas to discuss with you there. Um,
Oh, I'd be happy to hear that. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so did you have anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
Just thank you for everyone who's out there and part of the community. It's the main reason that I'm here. It's been a great time, and it's all because of the people.
I couldn't agree more. It's an amazing community, and the
Hmm.
reason I want to do these interviews. So, all right, with that, we'll wrap this one up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for listening.